Hey guys, Matteo here. Welcome back to a new video. And today we're going to talk about editing and color grading and a little bit of post production. And in particular, I want to go through what I did, the process behind the perfume spec ad that I shot a while ago on the Blackmagic Pocket 6K camera and the Leica R. We're also gonna go through the problem, the issue that I had with the Pocket 6K and those weird stripes, weird lines, horizontal lines on the footage because Blackmagic replaced my Pocket 6K, so it's a problem that might affect your camera or it might not. I was not that lucky, but they replaced it, no problem. So I have a brand new camera right now and it doesn't have that problem. Also, guys, an heads up, you might hear some echoing in here. Fortunately, I'm in Florida. I'm in my new apartment. It's pretty big, but it's empty. All my furniture, my home is still on the truck on the way from California to Florida. So I apologize for that. But let's just jump into it, and we are in DaVinci Resolve 16. We are my MacBook Pro 16 inches. We are in the Media tab. We have a bunch of different tabs in DaVinci. You have Cut, that I never really used, Edit, Fusion, that I never really used, and Color and Deliver. So what we're going to focus on today is going to be the Media, the edit, the color grading, and the deliver. Because a lot of people ask me a lot of time, how do I export my files? How do I, what codec do I use? And how my footage looks really good on YouTube. And I'm gonna go through all of that, and I'm gonna show you my little tricks to get the perfect export. As you can see in the Media tab, is basically the place where you organize your files. So what I usually do, I import my files in the Media tab, but before that, I create folders. So I do the master folder, I put the VO with the voiceover, I have the sequences, where I have all my sequences, I have the music, so everything is organized here, and then I have the footage, of course, and then some behind the scene. So it's very straightforward here. If you click on a clip, you can see the details. So this is Blackmagic RAW, FPS, audio, the dimension of the files, and blah blah. Just for this tutorial, I'm gonna leave 4K right now. I shot 2x4, so he has black bar on it. But what I did in this case when I exported, I actually put the dimension of these clips right here, and then I did export a 6K file. But we're gonna go through that once we are at the delivery. So you have all your footage here, and once we're done with this part of organizing the footage and all the folders, we can switch to editing. So what I usually do here at the beginning of the project, I basically get my music and I drag it on the timeline. So this is gonna give me kind of like an idea about how I want, the piece of the editing and everything. So the music for me is really, really important. As you can see here, this is the final edit, but you can see some more clips. So basically I did some selects, and here you can see all the selects, which are pretty much the best moments that I found into the footage, and I drop them all on the timeline. So when you want to go through it, it's very, very simple. I'm a big fan of a very, very, very simple edit. But this is pretty much my style, a lot of natural light, a lot of flares, a lot of like a backlit subject, see that kind of stuff. A lot of handheld but controlled, no shaking, of course. The editing is very simple, and it follows this music, which is a piano song that my buddy wrote and composed. And that's it. And basically, once I'm really, really happy with the final result, I just move into the color tab. There's a thing that I usually do though before I even start editing, and I don't really like to see log footage while I'm editing. I like to see a little bit with colors and kind of have a feel of what it's gonna look like. So what I usually do, I go in color management and I go to 3D output lookup table, and I threw my very trusty Pocket 4K Natural V3 and save, and here you go. Now in the timeline, you can see that LUT was applied to the entire project. So once that edit is done and we have a final cut, we go to the color grading tab. And here, of course, I removed a lot from the timeline, so what you're looking at is the raw footage from the 6K camera. Again, as I already said in another tutorial, I don't usually go crazy with color grading. I know there's people out there that love to have 67,000 nodes, and here they're gonna put saturation, and here they're gonna put the contrast, and here they're gonna put the mask. This is not what we're gonna do today, because the reality of things is that yes, if you have a feature film and you have a commercial with a $200,000 budget for the color grading, you can go frame by frame and do all this kind of thing if they're necessary. I really doubt that in a real scenario with low budget or medium budget, you're gonna have the time to do these kind of things. I usually in color grading bring out what's already in the image. So if the image is exposed right, perfect. If in the image I already has some negative fill to create some shape in the face of the subject, perfect. If you did good, if you did a great cinematography and you shot in a way that you're happy with, there's way less work in post-production. But let's just start with this clip right here. It's a clip that I really, really like it. I love that flare. I have the backlit, and she's basically laying down on the rock and looking into the camera, into the lens. I'm gonna pull it full screen. So this is the log version. Let's just check for a second the log of this camera. Here we don't have any problem with like noise and weird like horizontal stripes, and we're gonna see that later. But let's just go ahead and bring up the scopes. Scopes are absolutely important. You need them all the time because you have your guidelines. You know what you're doing. You know what you're adding and that kind of stuff. So as we can see, because we shot against the sun, our shadows are a little bit lifted. So what I usually do in this case, I might create like 3 nodes just in case. And of course, I'm gonna start by applying my battery natural Rec 709 on the node number 3, natural pocket 4K. The V3, we can even use the +1 contrast, but I usually put the V3 and then I tweak it manually. So here is the battery natural, this is the log, and this is the battery natural. So we of course have a little bit of bright highlights here just because we're shooting against the sun. And it's a kind of very interesting situation when you think about it, because here is extremely bright and here there's some shade. So we want to be sure that we balance this clip and everything pretty well. So what I typically do is start by bringing down the shadows. So not too much, but just enough to give me that little nice contrast. I can bring down the highlights a little bit, but of course we're clipping on the top left corner here because that's the sun. And then what I usually do, I bring up the meat a lot. So we have our face pretty clear and beautiful, and we can go down a little bit with the shadows again. So we create that nice contrast, and we can pull up the highlights just a tad and a little bit the meat. And so this is before log battery, and then I adjusted it. And I'm pretty happy with it. If I can think something, I can probably brighten her face a little bit more, so I can increase the contrast here maybe. Bring down the mids a little bit, the eyelids a little bit more, and then here what we can do is create a mask. I actually probably didn't do this in the final grade of the actual project, but I'll just do it because it's I think I might have done it probably, but let's just do it just for the sake of the tutorial so you guys can see how to apply a mask. So I'm gonna usually soft this up a little bit, and what I do, I bring up the meats, gonna smooth it out a little bit more, down the highlights, the shadows a little bit. And this is without the mask, and this is with the mask, just a little bit. But at the end of the day, this is a very nice result, I think. It's a log and the Rec 709, the LUT, and then some basic adjustment. Let's just play this back for you guys. Very sharp. All right, we can move to the next clip. This was actually shot during sunrise. It was around 6 a.m. in the morning. I really love this shot. What I usually do here, again, I try to copy and paste, but of course it's going to be completely different. So we're going to get rid of this, and we're going to get rid of this. So this is the clip with the Battery Rec 709 on it, and that's it. How does this look like? It looks pretty good already. What we could do is we can come down just a tad with the shadows, lift up the mids a little bit, or come down with the mids a tad, lift up the shadows. And the highlights looks pretty good. Come down a little bit with the mids again. A little bit more contrast, but even in this case, I'm pretty happy with the white balance and with the colors and everything. Let's watch it one more time. What I usually do too, something to keep in mind when I have this kind of scenario, where I have like this, that it's the afternoon and this is like sunrise. So I just click on it, grab still, and you're gonna find your still in the gallery. So here we go, and this, you can call it like sunrise, and this one we can call it. I already had it, but we can do it afternoon. So when you go ahead and we're gonna find another clip at sunrise, we're gonna come here and in our gallery, right click, apply grade, boom, and we have it. Again, my process is very simple, and it's kind of funny to me to go through these, but people ask me all the time, well, what do you do for color grading? Colors are great, and again, I don't see the point in doing a crazy color grading when I already love what I see, what I capture at the moment. So here in this case is the kind of sunset shot. So we can go to afternoon, apply the grade, and maybe it's a bit too warm right now, but we have to get rid of these. And we can, of course, we don't have the flares into the camera. I mean, it's in there, but it's not that crazy. And they're running, and even these ones, like that, at that point, the light was getting better and better. And we can bring down the mids a lot, the highlight just a tad, and lift up the shadows, maybe not. There you go. Even here is like extremely simple. Like there's not much I want to do. Maybe can just leave the shadows a bit more. There we go. And the sunrise, and then this one. This is one of my favorite shots. So much texture to it. We can do this and lift up the shadows a little bit more. So here she's walking out, and I'm, like maybe it's a bit too dark, but I love dark stuff. That's a problem. So I'd rather keep it dark. What is really crazy to me is how the Blackmagic Pocket 6K handles this kind of situation. I mean, here we're like absolutely extreme situation. We're looking at the sun. I didn't have any lights, any reflector, nothing, like absolutely nothing, and still I have so much information on her face and the hair, even all these parts. This is like with a regular camera. This should be like underexposed. But we have like everything. Look when she covers the sun too. There's so many details and information. So let's just try to apply this LUT here and see how it looks. Of course, we're gonna get rid of these. And another thing we can do again here is like lifting up the shadows. Look how many details are in this image. So I'm not clipping except the sun, and I'm not clipping in the shadows neither. It's just so clean. Let's check these out. And then we can move on to the next clip and basically apply what we did here, because it's a kind of similar situation, a lot of backlight. This one too, I mean, here's some probably reflection, weird shit going on with the ND. But look at this frame, it's kind of funny. It looks like film. But even here, I mean, I have no clue how, but look at her eyes right here. Really great camera. And again, this is the clip without any adjustment. Here our adjustment, we can actually lift this up a little bit so she's gonna have more light on her face. I mean, here we go. Now I'm lifting up the mids, and check that out. Check how bright her face is getting. Like crazy amount of details. Here we go. Beautiful. I want to check this one more time. You get the flare, nothing clipping. Let's just look at one more clip because these are some of my favorite. Let's just apply this one more time. Of course, we're gonna get rid of these, and this is too pretty extreme. And here you're gonna start to see some crazy noise, guys. I'm telling you. Here we go. Here are all those horrible stripes, and this is not normal, of course. I mean, I tried to do some noise reduction, but it wasn't really working, and there were still some stripes in there, so it was kind of weird. But in this case, there's the lot, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just drop these shadows a little bit, lift up the meat, and I'm pretty happy already. There you go. Love this shot, and this is extreme like silhouette kind of stuff, but I really like it as well. So what I usually do here, I try to make it actually pretty dark. So I go down with the meat a lot. So of course this is might be a little extreme for some people, but I love it. And here we go. This is another one. This case is of course a little bit too bright. So what we usually do here, come back with the shadows, a little bit with the highlights, a little bit with the mid. Beautiful. And there you go. So now let's just move on, and I want to show you guys very quickly, of course, the stripes that I was talking about. I think you can clearly see them here. Oh, they were so bad. Can you? Right here, they're kind of flickering too. They're moving. This one here. This is not normal. So all this stuff was, to be honest with you, kind of unusable. So see here. I'm gonna pump these up so you can see it better, but when you increase the contrast, that's pretty crazy. There we go. Look at all those stripes. Pretty unreal, if you ask me. We can move clips. Here is even crazier. It's like all this noise and good. I mean, I didn't use this clip because I couldn't really. They were like really bad. I'm glad Blackmagic just replaced the camera, and I'm happy to tell you guys that this is not normal. The one that I have, I did some tests. I need to test it more because I just moved, but it doesn't look like this. This is like this is not normal. And I know a lot of people were like, when I was talking about this online, people are like, oh, but you underexpose. Or, you know, this is not underexposed. If we check the log, like this is not an underexposed shot. I mean, check the shadows. Moving forward, we have even more clips here, and I'm gonna go through it very quickly because I don't want this video to be too long. But again, that's simple thing I did, adjusting the exposure with the battery on it, and there you go. The light here was amazing. There's still noise here. I can tell. I couldn't use this. But let's just now move to the black and white version of this packet, which is the one that I like the most. And here is very weird. So I love the color version, but it didn't work for that story. So this is a perfume spec ad, and for some reason, for the story, for everything, the black and white was better. But let's just jump into it. Again, I'm gonna show you guys pretty much the same clip, or actually I'm gonna show you this because this one I didn't really like it with the colors, but in black and white is awesome. It's one of my favorite. I love this shot. So very quickly, this is the actual grade that I did for that black and white version. So let's just go ahead and see what I did in this clip right here. So first of all, let's just mute all these nodes. So this is the log. This is the LUT, and we have a battery creative for that. So BUTTERY LUTs. This is in all the creative package that we have online. Black and white in the creative package for the 4K. Yes, okay. So that's what I did. And of course, there's the same thing that happened in the color version. That means the shadows are a little bit too high for me, and what I did, I think I went into here, and of course I brought down the shadows and the mids a little bit, and this is pretty much the final grade. This is another really cool shot that I love. I just love the composition of it. In black and white, it looks great. I love it. I like it more in black and white than colors now for some reason. Of course, it was too bright. The sun was like clipping a lot. So what I did, I brought it down. And check how many details actually that Blackmagic RAW can retain. Check the sun, it was like completely blown out. Brought it down. This is another cool shot that I like. And here in this case, I use the mask and I use the tracking. So let's just start from the beginning. Basically, battery black and white. adjustment, it was too dark. It was against the sun, so I decided to do a mask and brighten up her face. And then, of course, once you do that, you need to go right here and you track her. So basically, the mask is gonna follow her face. You go to Window, then you press this button here and this one, and she's just gonna track her. So the mask is gonna stay on her face. Pretty cool. And yeah, pretty big difference, right? Here, nothing really. I bright up a little bit her face, and of course the black and white. And this is too is like really nice. Them running. Let's just play it back a little bit. Feet in the water, them walking on the beach. Here, actually, you can see a lot of this weird noise, but I use it anyway. I actually tried to crush the shadows a little bit. Should have done it a little bit more, but that's fine. But let's just check out my delivery process right now, because this is a question that I ask a lot of times. What kind of codec do I use? What kind of resolution? And this kind of stuff. So what I specifically did for this project is I went to Media, Footage, and I check out the exact dimension of the file. So it's a 6144 by 2560. As you can tell, there's no any more black bars because that was 16 by 9 aspect ratio. This is the 240, so basically it cropped out the black bars. This is a 6K timeline, and am I gonna be able to play back? Let's see. Wow. So this MacBook Pro 16 inches is actually playing back BRAW 6K files in a 6K timeline. That's pretty mind-blowing. Look at how I can scroll through the timeline. Anyway, now that I set up my timeline back to the 6K, what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna go to my delivery tab. Now that I have the 6K timeline, here you're gonna see the resolution of the files. So 24p, 8264 in this case, and what I usually do here, quality, I go to restrict and I do 100,000 kilobyte per second. But if you have a very fast Wi-Fi and you're distributing online, in my case now I have a very fast internet connection. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna switch to ProRes and just set up LT because it's totally good for an export file. If it's like a very extremely important project and I have to deliver for a client, I typically just switch back and do ProRes HQ just because it's the best quality you can possibly export, where you can export uncompressed or 44444. This is actually the best. But I wouldn't even try to export a 6K 1 minute file in ProRes 44444. And yeah, resolution stay the same. I don't really touch anything here. This is all as it was, like default settings. And the subtitle, of course, I don't touch that. I usually select use constant bitrate just because I rather to get a constant bitrate, not like variable. And that's it. So yeah, these are my export settings. I typically just do QuickTime, Apple ProRes, HQ or LT, doesn't really matter. Resolution, it's entirely up to you. If you want to upload in 4K or 6K or 8K, just export in 8K and 24p and use constant bitrate. So I hope you guys like this video, and let me know in the comments if you want more of these, and if you have any question about anything I talked about in this video. Thanks again for your support and for your love, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.